This is Inside Troy Athletics, a look at what's going on and what's coming up for Troy University's Trojans. Now, here's your host for Inside Troy Athletics, Jonathan Sellers.
Hello and welcome to Inside Troy Athletics. I'm your host, Jonathan Sellers, and by my side is the Director of Athletics for Troy University, and that's Jeremy McLean. And Jeremy, again, another busy weekend, and this weekend it was a very busy home weekend here at Troy. Basketball, baseball, softball, all in action here at home at Troy. So I know a very exciting time, especially with a lot of victories here at home.
Yeah, which kind of icing on the cake. It's always fun when you have these weekends in February or March where you get a lot of crossover between, as you said, baseball, softball, basketball, and as a fan, it's kind of pick your event,
right.
you know, or go to as many as you can during the weekend. So that's a lot of fun. But then had a ton of success, really across the board. Amazing weekend for softball as they went undefeated in their tournament, and then we had a clean sweep of the basketball weekend. So really good weekend in February, and a great way to kind of kick off the spring season.
Well, let's start things off on basketball, especially the men's basketball team, who have now won 4 in a row in conference play, and that's the first time they've done that in a long time. And not only have they done it, they've done it in pretty convincing fashion, gotten some good wins. They now will hit the road for a couple of tough games as they head to Texas, but things are looking pretty good for them right now.
Yeah, like you said, won 4 in a row. You know, put us in good shape in the conference, sitting at 8-6, really kind of in the middle of the pack in the Sun Belt. Now 16-12 overall, and so it's been a while since we've been there. I mean, if we look back over the last several years, so really made a lot of progress in those areas. Have a tough road trip coming up to Texas, as you mentioned, Texas State and UT Arlington, who are teams that are really in the upper half of the conference. UT Arlington being at the top, so really tough road swing there, and so. Will be a tough test for our team that's playing a whole lot better, but you know, gonna be in college basketball. It's always tough to win those road games, right. And so you know, if we can go out there and pick up 1 or 2, that'll be a big bump for us.
Well, same thing for the women. After kind of a tough loss at Louisiana Lafayette, got back on track, won 2 in a row here at home. Now still 18-7 overall, still doing very well in conference, but they hit that tough road swing, and they've got a tough last 4 games of the year against some of the top teams in the conference.
Yeah, they really do. Men and women both, I think, will be it'll be a tough last 4 games. But you're right, on the women's side, it'll be a real big challenge. You know, and like you said, to take the Texas swing and teams that are playing very well there in Texas State and UT Arlington come back home and play Arkansas State and Little Rock, and you know, we'll have a chance to play Little Rock that last game of the year, and Little Rock's leading the conference right now, and so it will be a really big challenge, and hopefully they continue that momentum. They've kind of fought through what was maybe a little bit of a slow stretch for them, right. Just as far as play is concerned, but have won many of those games and really bounced back well. So Coach Reeves doing a great job of kind of pushing them through that, and we'll get ready for this last home stretch, these last 2 weeks.
And one of their players that's having an outstanding season and was again awarded for her play this week was Caitlin Ramirez, and just not much else you can say, but she's just had a great year.
Yeah, she really has. Obviously a senior on that team, and I think the coaches look to her going into the season really to lead and do much of what she's done here lately. And so really proud of her performance and the way she stepped up, especially over the last month or so as things have gotten tough. You get right. into the really tough stretch of conference play and down the stretch of January, February. And she's really stepped up and really been a leader for that team. And, you know, hopefully she can continue that here the last couple of weeks and into tournament play.
Well, speaking of tournament play, I know that's something you wanted to talk about. Is the trip to New Orleans is coming up pretty soon, and both teams will get that opportunity to make it this year. All the teams in the conference are going to get to play.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. You know, Lakefront Arena there in New Orleans, we'll have all 12 teams from both sides there. So the tournament will actually start on Tuesday of that week, and I believe that's March 8th, if I have my dates right, March 7th or 8th, the Tuesday of that week, and stretch through Sunday. So it's you know, a great week of basketball. A lot of really good basketball will be played, and obviously both of our teams will be there, and be a great opportunity to go support them. And it actually falls during spring break, Troy University spring break. I know some of the local schools may have a little different break, but be a great opportunity to go support them and spend some time not only watching really good basketball, but New Orleans is not a bad place to visit. So.
Well, and I know both teams are still kind of playing for that seeding, and really there's a couple of buys that come into to play for that tournament. So right now is really kind of do or die for that.
Yeah, it really is, especially for our women's team. Their top 4 teams get a bye. So in other words, the women would start on Tuesday, but the top 4 seeds would not play until Thursday. Okay. So really important to finish in that top 4 and get that first round bye, if you will. And the men still have an outside chance to do that too. So both of them fighting for an opportunity to do that would be a great leg up if you can get get the chance to have that first round bye.
You mentioned softball earlier. They had a great weekend, 5-0, and they will be back at home this weekend with another chance to do the same thing against some good competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Another tournament here at our place, and we've been able to schedule those tournaments early in the year at home, and I think it's really beneficial for our group. And so had a great weekend, 5-0, as you said. Had a great, really good group of teams come in, and we'll have another really good group this coming week. So will be another challenge for our squad, and I think they're still trying to kind of figure out their identity a little bit, especially I think on the mound, which is the case with many teams early in the year. But really done some good things on the mound and offensively, and I know the coaches are excited about continuing that. They have a midweek game, assuming that the weather holds off. Have a midweek game, and then we'll move into that tournament this weekend with high hopes.
Same thing with the baseball team. They had a 2-2 weekend, but it was against a very good Xavier team. They were at home as well. We're going to be on the road this week, but they're now playing at home on Wednesday due to that weather. So talk about their schedule.
So like you said, had a unique, Coach Smart likes to open the season with a 4-game series. So we did that this weekend as opposed to 3. We did that this weekend with Xavier. Xavier's an NCAA tournament team from last year, really returned about 90% of their squad, really strong. Especially on the mound, and had some really key arms coming back. And so, I know if you ask him, he would have loved to have gotten one more, but going 2-2 against those guys, and really, I think having an opportunity to gauge where they're at early on and evaluate themselves as a team was really good. I think it was a great way to start the year. And then, like you said, Samford will come to Troy this week as opposed to us going to their place because of some weather issues, and one of the beauties of playing on turf. And we can bounce back pretty quickly with the weather. And then this weekend we'll travel to UNO, and UNO again traditionally a very strong program, and they've played well the last few years, and know they'll be really good competition again. And then travel to UAB the next Tuesday. So we got a tough stretch here beginning of the year between opening with Xavier all the way through the next 7 or 8 days, and so we'll find out from a baseball perspective. I think our coaches will be able to really evaluate where we're at.
I know normally the baseball schedule opens up pretty home heavy. You'll see a lot of early home games. This year, not the case. They don't play again here till March 11th, I don't think. But they do get to play kind of in front of a Troy-friendly crowd down in Pensacola in a couple of weeks. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we've played this tournament the last few years, and so we got an opportunity there the first weekend in March to go down and play in Pensacola at the Minor League Stadium there. Beautiful, beautiful facility. If you haven't been there, just a great view overlooking the water there. But have an opportunity to play some really good teams down there, southeastern Louisiana, South Alabama, Seton Hall. So we've got a really good field again, just like we did last year. There'll be some NCAA tournament teams out of that group. And so an opportunity again, play in front of Troy fans in that area, in the Panhandle, and encourage everybody to come out and see that. That'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday set up, and it'll be a great opportunity to play in an area where we've got really good support.
Track and field right now, they're currently competing in the indoor championships, and how is that going for them?
Yeah, so really gotten through the first day of the championship so far, so still a lot to be done. Off to a good start in many ways. I think the coaches really want, hopefully in day 2 here, to be able to put some points up on the board, but really have shown a lot of progress. I think our coaches have continued to improve that program, improve that roster. And in the indoor, which is what we're competing in right now, we only compete on the women's side. We don't officially have a men's indoor program, and so that women's program has continued to improve, and hopefully they'll have a strong day 2 here and be able to finish strong and finish in a situation where we are still growing as a program. If we get back in the middle of the pack of that Sun Belt Championship, that'll be a great step for us.
And what else is on the calendar right now for Troy?
We're looking forward. Obviously, we got a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. North End Zone project is moving for us. We'll have spring football starting up here pretty soon, which will culminate April 15th with T-Day, and then which will also be the Hall of Fame banquet for us. And so just a lot of things happening right now. We obviously have men's and women's golf either starting or have started. And then men's and women's tennis as well. So we're wide open. Calendar's full. But that's a good thing. Always fun to see our student athletes compete and feel really good competitively about what the spring holds for us.
And at home this weekend will be the softball team, and that again will be an all-weekend tournament. And so anytime you want to see any softball, you can go out there. But Troy will mostly play towards the later in the afternoon night games.
That's right. It'll be a similar schedule to last year. We'll play late on the day on Friday, and then late again, same thing on Saturday, and then about a noontime start on Sunday.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned for more coming up on Inside Troy Athletics. Welcome back to Inside Troy Athletics, and we're here with the head coach of the women's basketball team. That's Coach Chandra Rigby. And Coach, after kind of a tough loss last weekend at Louisiana Lafayette, your team came back home and got 2 very big wins for your team, especially right now as you're getting down to that crunch time, working on that seeding in the Sun Belt Conference tournament.
Yes, every win's important now. We did stumble at Louisiana Lafayette. They had a great game plan, always tough playing over there. Very sad that we lost the game, but again, learned lessons from it. Came back, bounced back with 2 wins this week. We're about to head on the road to Texas for 2 tough games out there.
Well, can you talk about your wins over App State and Coastal Carolina for us?
Well, App State's a very talented team, and they're very similar to us. They like to shoot the ball every 7 seconds. So we anticipated that being a very high-scoring game. However, we did a great job on defense. We've been working on sort of a new defense or a new intensity level on our defense, and for some, maybe due to that, they didn't shoot as well as we thought that they would coming in here, and we were able to keep their score a little bit lower and get the win. And then Coastal, they're just a very athletic team. We did get up on them at one point in the game and kept the lead from there on out. But they're new to the conference. We didn't know what to expect, but it was a great learning experience as well.
Well, and we've got to talk about Caitlin Ramirez, again, named Sun Belt Conference Player of the Week. Just another great week and just pretty much a great year for her. And what words can you say about her?
And just really proud of her improvement. I mean, since the time she got here, and we saw her play a lot at her junior college at Tyler, Texas, and just since then, she's just been such an improved player. She's always had the physicality to be a great player, but she's improved emotionally and maturity-wise. She's really improved, trying to stay on an even keel at all times. Mm-hmm. Having a little bit of a temper is a good thing when you're a post player and you need somebody to be mean in there and have some angst with them. And she's learned how to control that and keep it on her side.
So 4 games left in the season. Tough 4 games for you. You head to Texas this week for Texas State and Texas Arlington. What do you know about those teams?
Well, Arlington, I would think, is going to be looking for some revenge because we were both undefeated and trying to get first in the conference when we played each other last time. And we beat them at home. We got ahead of them. Coach Graff, that was her game plan, and she had a great game plan for them. And the defensive game plan really worked and shut down the preseason Conference Player of the Year, their post player. Anyway, you know, I would think that they're going to be ready for us. It's in their home gym. I would imagine they're going to shoot better. I would imagine they're going to get calls go their way. So that's tough. And Texas State, they've been on a tear since we played them here. They've won every game, I think, but 1 since we played them. They've just really been doing – they're probably the hottest team in the Sun Belt Conference right now. They've just been winning. They're doing a great job. So even though we beat them last time, we have to kind of reset our sails to try to get another win against them.
All right, Coach. Well, I know it's a tough stretch, but y'all will hopefully be ready for it and come out with some W's.
Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned for more coming up on Inside Troy Athletics. Welcome back to Inside Troy Athletics, and we're going to talk women's golf now with the head coach of that program, and that's Coach Bart Barnes. And Bart, I know a strong fall for your team, and you're starting a little later this spring, but kind of gives you a chance to get a little extra work in right now. So I know right now, rainy day here, y'all are getting to take use of y'all's facility, and that's got to be nice. But what is the assessment looking like right now for the team?
Well, you know, we do have an experienced team coming back this spring. 3 seniors kind of have made up our lineup most of the fall, mixing in a couple of sophomores with them. Having these extra couple of weeks, a little bit more practice time than normal for our spring season, gives us a little bit of time to iron out some of the details. Also, you know, assess some of the players' improvements from the fall. I feel like also it puts a little bit less pressure sometimes if we have these rainy days, if we have these cold days where you're not in a rush to get the practice time in. Having said that, I know the ladies are looking forward to going and getting to play against people who aren't on their team, who aren't wearing the T logo. They're ready to play some outside competition. So I feel like they'll be fired up and ready when the time comes. And
so when will that be? And what does your schedule after that look like?
Well, we tee it up in about 2.5 weeks, March the 10th, I believe. we will be going to the University of Florida's Gator Invitational.
Okay.
So great field, great tournament. Really looking forward to it. It's our first time invite to that one. I know the girls will be fired up to be in Florida and getting to play against some top competition.
Right.
Behind that, we pretty much are hitting the ground running. Right behind that, we'll go to Augusta, Georgia, for Augusta University's 3M Invitational. Kennesaw State right behind that. We actually got invited back to the University of Georgia's match play event this year, the Liz Murphy Classic.
Okay.
That's a star-studded field. There'll be 12 teams there, and we'll see some of the best competition in all of college women's golf at that one. And we wrap up before conference at the Brickyard Invitational, which is a newly returned tournament that used to be just a grade first-class tournament hosted by Mercer University, and they're starting that back again.
Okay.
It's at a great golf course, and that's where we'll be playing before we go to conference.
So I know everybody has been familiar with Fatima Fernandez-Cano, just the great years she had the past couple of
Right.
years. Who else is on your team that we can expect to play well?
Well, from the practices and what I've been seeing around here, I've got another senior. Her name is Becca Horner from Newcastle, England. She has just been a great, steady player for our team. She has looked really, really good in our preseason work this semester, and I look for some big things for her. She ended the fall in a big way with a top 10 at Mercer's tournament. I also have a sophomore, Bianca Lobauer, and she had a stellar spring last spring. I look for her to, be in that same vein this semester. But Becca, especially as a senior, she's got a special place with me, as does Fatima. They're going to leave here probably the most accomplished group of players, for a 4-year span of anyone who's come through here.
All right, so a lot to look forward to this spring, and we'll be looking forward to it and keeping an eye on it all spring long.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate it.
Hopefully, everything will go well until the Sun Belt tournament.
Right. If I'm hoping that if anyone's in the area, that people come out and watch. I mean, I know we don't have any home events, but the girls love to see people. If you're in the area while we're playing, hey, come out, come see us. We'd love to see some Troy fans in the galleries.
All right, Bart. Well, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
All right, stay tuned for more coming up on Inside Troy Athletics. We're back here for our final segment here on Inside Troy Athletics, and we're going to talk men's tennis with the head coach of that program, and that's Coach Scott Kidd. And Coach, welcome back. And I know y'all have started off y'all's season, and maybe the record may not indicate that y'all are playing pretty well, but you've been playing some tough teams to start things off with.
Yeah, I mean, it's always pretty tough at the beginning of the year because we're typically traveling a lot and playing indoors. So, I always open up with some SEC, ACC schools and mostly ranked schools. So it is tough, and, we kind of take a beating, but it kind of helps prepare us. About right now, we're going to start the season. The last 3 years, we kind of get on a winning streak, winning, 8 to 10 straight matches. So definitely, we have played some of the best competition. We're definitely got a lot of good matches, and we play a lot of those matches close. Right. We are dealing with some injuries with some key players. We've used the last week being off to kind of rehab some players, and hopefully they're going to be back this week. But I'm seeing growth, which is important, and I think this weekend will give us some direction where we're going to be headed for the next few weeks.
And one thing, looking back at your schedule, your victories did come against Sun Belt schools, so
Yes.
which is going to help prepare you for later on in the year.
It is true. We opened up at FSU at the tournament, beating Mercer in a very tough match, and then losing to Georgia State. We basically had to turn around and play in a 4-hour match and had an hour break to play a very good team. They have actually beat a couple of top 40 teams. Right. So, then, the next day we had the opportunity to play South Alabama. That's a huge rival for here. And, that's something that the guys mentally were just pumped up for. And we just played spectacular that day. We came out, took care of business. I think we won the match 4-1, 4-2. They recently just beat Georgia State, who's been beating a lot of people. So that gives a lot of insight telling the guys, we are right there with the best.
Right.
If we get everybody healthy, I have no doubt that we can be right there for.
So what's coming up for your team?
This weekend we travel. On Thursday we'll be playing UT Chattanooga at Chattanooga, and then come back down. We play Jacksonville State. Then we have a series of home matches. That's something that's been rare here in the last few years, is getting home matches. So we'll have Winthrop coming in, UNO. University of Illinois, Carbondale. So we have a bunch of home matches to gives the community who's been so supportive of us, and of course the school, the opportunity to watch these kids play because they love to play home matches because they have friends, stuff. And it's an opportunity for them to get them see them play and support them.
Now, I know you said beforehand that there's been a local kid that's been playing well for you. Can tell us about him?
Yes. When I was coaching Auburn Montgomery, I had the opportunity to coach Amr Bewan. Actually, there's 4 brothers. They all were ranked in the state. And I remember when I first started, he was maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I told his dad, I said, he'll be number 1 in the state. Here it is, last year he walks up on the campus. I hadn't seen him. He's taller than me now. And just a great family and everything. He was number 1 in the state of Alabama, top 16 in the South. I mean, he had visits to Alabama and Auburn. But it really paid, mid-country to have that relationship in the past. And he chose here. He's a freshman, American, which is, a lot of people knows that we've not had a lot of Americans in the past. But to have a young American from Alabama that's playing 4 through 6 and he's undefeated has been amazing. I'm just really, really so happy and thrilled knowing where he's come from. He's a great kid. He's a fighter. So a lot of people are talking about him. He's gonna be a kid in the next few years. They'll be playing. My goal was, hopefully if he can play 1 here as an American, it'd be incredible.
And that's even more incentive for local fans to come out, the Montgomery crowd to come out and watch the team.
And that's what we've had. The last few matches, they bring their families. We're gonna have. It seems like we're gonna have a lot more support in the home matches. Come up with people from Montgomery, and then I do have. I spent several years in Montgomery, so I have a lot of friends and support there, and they're going to come down. So I think it's going to be interesting, getting the kids here. I think that's going to help us to kind of get over this, this hump that we're on. But we've been training hard. We've kind of, buckled down and kind of changed some things around. But I think we'll get there. That's the thing about me with the players. It's important that we communicate and we understand that, this may be where we're at, but this is where we're going to get to. And it's, it's just a day-by-day thing.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck coming up this weekend. And,
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll get some victories.
Thank you.
All right, join us again next week for more on Inside Troy Athletics. All right.